we're back, and we're talking to Don Samuelson. So HUD terminated the contract and began to issue vouchers to residents and allow them to break their leases?
Yes.
Well, what happened after that?
Well, I wrote to HUD saying, I think you're making a mistake. That was on October 1st when we first learned that the vouchers were being issued and that the contract was not renewed. I wrote to Mr. Hensberger saying, Ed, this is a mistake, it's not legal, and it doesn't make sense for the building, for the residents, or for the community. It's bad policy, and it's illegal.
Mm-hmm. How did they respond?
How did they respond? I can't remember exactly, but essentially their position was, too bad, that's our position, and live with it, I guess, is what they were saying. So I then responded to say that I think what we'll do is we'll sue you for an injunction. And that was a series of discussions we had. This was not like, you don't agree with us, we'll sue you. There was a lot of effort to get HUD to correct its error when it was easily doable.
And you were talking with the powers that be, you were talking with the right people? Was this? We
were talking to Ed Hensberger and his lawyer advisor, Greg Gustin, primarily. Okay. And it was
Ed Hensberger, the director of HUD.
And they were communicating to people in Washington, they said. Now, whether or not that's true or not, I don't know. But okay. The fact of the matter is we got no relief or even any serious discussion with HUD in October of 2001. So we filed an injunction suit saying that there was an immediate need to stop the issuance of vouchers, which had begun on October 1st, and to reinstate the subsidy contract. And they resisted that and said in court before Judge Castillo in the district court that we haven't terminated the contract, we haven't even begun to terminate the contract, which was clearly false because in the trial later on it's clear to everyone that they started to terminate the contract in January and actually December of 2000.
Why would they say that they had not terminated the contract? And when they were in the process of issuing vouchers for the residents?
In a technical sense, they might not have said on the contract, we're terminating it. What they really had done is they had breached the contract. They had not fulfilled the contract.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of a legalistic definition, but they certainly had started the process of terminating it. So even though they may not have, quote, terminated it, they simply breached it. They were in the process of terminating it through their efforts earlier in the year. So, but they were insistent on that, and they went ahead and had people testify in the district court that they had not started. The conditions were abysmal. People would want to leave immediately if they could only get a voucher and leave. And then it turns out a couple things. One is it turns out they had begun the termination, and secondly, nobody left.
So how did the judge react to that?
He believed HUD. And so he did two things. One, he thought that their representations about the conditions were correct and people were living in a depraved condition. And so without any testimony, he just said that I think that given what HUD has testified to, I think they should be allowed to continue the issuance of vouchers. And if there is a problem with this later on, you have remedy for breach of contract in the Court of Federal Claims.
But no one had ever actually gone to the building to see that these conditions existed?
Well, no, let's talk about the conditions. The conditions were that there was graffiti on the walls.
Okay.
There was conditions where there was urine in the urine smells in the stairwells. Not uncommon for 700 kids in a 22-story buildings who don't have unlimited bladders. And
where the elevators frequently don't work.
And where the elevators don't work, you're right. So these were problems when we were in the process of being corrected, but they were not decent, safe, and sanitary. Decent, safe, and sanitary has a defined set of characteristics that you have to satisfy if HUD is going to terminate a contract.
Exactly.
None of those were present, and nobody bothered to think about that.
So you presented those in your counter? Well,
the judge didn't even get into evidence at all. He simply believed that, and secondly, he said that this is there's an adequate remedy by an administrative appeal within HUD. Mm-hmm. So what you should do, Mr. Samuelson, is go to HUD, file an administrative appeal, and follow that course through to its end. If you are unsuccessful, then you can sue, not for an injunction, but for damages in an appropriate court.
All right, let's take another break. We'll be back.